Okay, so what could a high-tech battery, the human brain, and a sonic boom possibly have in common? I mean, on the surface, absolutely nothing, right? But today, we're going to pull on a hidden thread that connects these three seemingly unrelated, incredibly complex topics. Let's dive in.
So what is that common thread? It all comes down to complexity. We're going to see how an entire nation is trying to build a new industry from scratch, how scientists are trying to unravel one of the deepest mysteries of the brain, and how physics can create this awesome, powerful display of force. Each one has a lesson for us about facing huge challenges.
All right, let's kick things off with a massive national ambition. India is placing a huge bet on building a cutting-edge battery industry, pretty much from the ground up. The plan is called the ACC PLI scheme, and, well, it's turning out to be a lot harder than anyone expected.
To get this going, the government has put a frankly staggering amount of money on the table, 18,100 crore rupees. To put that in perspective, that's over $2 billion US. So yeah, this isn't just a project, it's a really high-stakes gamble on the country's entire energy future.
So what is an advanced chemistry cell, or ACC, anyway? First, forget the old lead-acid battery you might have in a car. These are sophisticated, high-tech powerhouses. We're talking about the kind of batteries you absolutely need for electric vehicles and for storing massive amounts of energy for the power grid. They are, simply put, the key to a clean energy future.
And get this, the timeline they've set is incredibly aggressive. The goal is for companies to achieve 25% local content in just 2 years, and then ramp that all the way up to 60% within 5 years. The message is clear: create a self-reliant battery ecosystem and do it fast.
So who's playing the game? The list has some huge local names like Ola Electric and Reliance. But take a look at who's already out. Hyundai. When one of the biggest car makers in the world decides to pull out of a project this big, that is a major red flag that things are not going smoothly.
And this slide really shows you why. The program is just hitting one roadblock after another. There's a big technology gap, a heavy dependence on China for raw materials, and even bureaucratic headaches like visa delays for foreign experts. But here's the real kicker. Despite that massive fund we talked about, not a single rupee in incentives has actually been paid out yet.
Okay, so that was a story of external industrial complexity. Now we're going to turn inward to an even more profound challenge: decoding the complexities of the human brain. We're going to talk about schizophrenia, one of the most severe and frankly misunderstood conditions of the mind.
So what exactly is it? At its core, schizophrenia is a chronic condition that fundamentally changes how a person perceives reality. It affects their thoughts, their feelings, their actions, and it's very often a lifelong, disabling illness. Living with schizophrenia means navigating some incredibly difficult symptoms. This can mean hallucinations and delusions, experiencing a reality that feels completely real but just isn't. It can also involve disordered thinking, a withdrawal of emotions, and a deep loss of motivation. And tragically, all of these struggles lead to a very high risk of suicide.
And here's where the complexity really deepens. There is no single identifiable cause. Scientists now see it as a tangled web of genetics, brain chemistry, and environmental factors or stressors. It's really understood as a developmental brain disorder, where subtle signs can appear years before the first major episode, which usually happens in early adulthood.
This brings us to a really crucial point. Right now, there is no cure for schizophrenia. The reality of the situation is lifelong management. It takes a dedicated, constant combination of medication, therapy, and a strong social support system to help people navigate their symptoms and live a fulfilling life.
From the complexities of biology, let's now make a jump to the complexities of physics. Our last topic is all about what happens when you break a fundamental law of nature and the explosive result it creates, the sonic boom.
So how does this actually work? You can think of it in a few steps. First, an object, like a fighter jet, has to be traveling faster than the speed of sound. When that happens, the air molecules in front of it literally can't get out of the way in time. They just get compressed and pile up, creating this massive, high-pressure shockwave. And that boom that we hear on the ground, that's just the sudden release of all that built-up pressure as the wave passes over us.
And you know, not all sonic booms are created equal. How intense it is really depends on a couple of key things. And it's pretty intuitive, right? A bigger, heavier aircraft is going to create a much louder boom. And the lower that aircraft is flying, the more intense that boom is going to feel when it hits the ground.
Now here is a truly wild fact. A sonic boom isn't just a sound. It's a physical force. It actually creates vibrations in the ground that are powerful enough to be picked up by seismometers. You know, the same instruments used to detect earthquakes. Scientists are actually using these signals to track things like meteors and space debris as they re-enter our atmosphere. How cool is that?
So there we have it. A battery, a brain, and a boom. 3 incredibly complex worlds. So what are the most important things to remember from all this? Let's break it down into your 3 key takeaways.
First, trying to build something as vital as a domestic battery industry is a deeply complex puzzle. It takes huge investment, brand new technology, and perfect execution. And even with all of that, as the ACC scheme is showing us, success is never, ever guaranteed.
Second, when we look inside the brain, we learn that schizophrenia is not a choice or a character flaw. It is a complex developmental disorder of the brain. Understanding this simple fact is the first step to replacing stigma with the compassion and lifelong support that people truly need.
And finally, a sonic boom is so much more than just a loud noise. It's the physical, audible proof that an object is breaking one of the basic rules of our atmosphere, creating a shockwave of pure energy that we hear on the ground as that incredible boom.
From industrial policy to brain chemistry to pure physics, complexity is woven into the very fabric of our world. The challenge isn't to avoid it, but to face it, break it down, and try to understand it. The only question left is, what complex topic should we tackle together next?